Good morning, fellow travelers on Spaceship Earth. I don't know why I'm not here. Am I here? I might be here. Let's see, because I'm not 100. Yeah, no, I'm here. We are here. So, good morning, fellow travelers on Spaceship Earth. I am Guy, and we are here for the day. I'm writing down important notes. And so that I can remember what I'm supposed to say here. Yeah, so today we're going to work on making a class schedule, a syllabus. We should say live. Uh-oh, my purple is dying. No, do not die on me, purple. I loves you. Good enough, though. All right, let's try this again. All righty. All right, here we go. Let's start this again. Ready? Take two. Good morning, fellow travelers on Spaceship Earth. It is I, and I am Guy. I'm coming to you live from Applewood Station in Denver, Colorado. We're going to start doing our work today on this. We're going to switch to the drawing monitor. All right, here we go. So this afternoon, this afternoon I have an interview. And during this interview, we're going to talk about a class that I'm going to teach here in the local area on how to make comic books from beginning to end. So we're going to talk a little bit first about an outline, and I'm going to decide how it's going to work, and we will make that happen. And I will bring this over here, work like this, so that I can look at it, so I can figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do with everything here. Because, hang on real quick. Sorry about that, guys. And now I'm looking around for this, which is the PDF on this. So there will be 13 meetings. That's the first thing we need to know. 13 classes. It says me looking at this going, okay, 13 classes. So we're going to talk about really what are the things that we need for making a comic. So if we talk about the steps in comic book making, right? All right. So we'll start with one pre-write world building character design and the hook. Right? And that's before we even start. And conflict. That's the first 3 classes. All right, we got that. We're still out. Okay. Well, once you have that section, that's before the pre-write. The second section then is prep. And this would be outline. We need one more. Production and post. All right. Outline, and then we need here script. And this can be separated because I don't actually write scripts, generally speaking. Outline, and then the 3-act structure. Talk about the hero's journey. Because this can be flexible. You don't have to do a hero's journey. You don't have to do a 3-act structure. But if you're like me, I really like some kind of frame to stick things on. Because otherwise I just wander all over the place and I'm a ridiculous human being and I'm all over the world. So then we do roughs. And the roughs aren't actually on anything other than just normal, normal printer paper. And this is also what people would call storyboarding. And this is where we talk about frames and we talk about the hikigoma, the splashes, and tension, creating tension. Good morning, Bames. How are you doing this morning? We are talking about breaking a comic down into its component pieces. So I want to make a comic. Yay, good for me. How do I do that? What are the steps? I don't know if you've followed along the way, but I have actually created my own comic and gone all the way through to printing it. It actually exists out there in the real world. There's actually physical copies of it. Usually there's a physical copy sitting right behind me, but there isn't right now because it got buried, and that's why. But I mean, there are physical, like this is a... Yep, it is. Aw, that's sweet. I appreciate that. Yeah, the Bellatrix Rising is the comic that I was writing, or I am still writing. It should look like this on Global Comics. And that works. I also noticed that you became a patron on my Patreon. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I really do, actually. I'm glad to hear that. And it's going to be... I'm going back into college, and so I can use all the help I can get. I'm going to keep doing these broadcasts, but as much as I possibly can, keep going. So, yeah, and I will keep making more. I will show you some of the things that I do, because we were having this discussion before where go Guy the Artist, Bellatrix Rising, and completes Act 1, Momentary Ghosts, Issue 2. I've got a lot of things here. And this is the correct setup. And so, like, the next issue is already rigged. And I'm at the roughing stage, which is where we are here. And this is probably not a bad idea. Where are we? Because these are the places where we need to start thinking about things like creating tension and hikigoma and commitment area and commitment range. So let's put that down. And things like that. So, okay, so we go into this one. This is in the prep section. And then, of course, the production section is where we talk about actually making pages. Blue line. And why we use each. Why do we use blue line? Why don't we just use red line? I've had a couple of artist friends who use red line. And of course, the problem is Redlining is typically something one artist will do for another artist. Like, here is my artwork, and I don't know, something feels weird about this panel. And so, can you look at it? And somebody will take a red pencil and redraw the character a little bit to show that maybe they've got a problem with the knee, or maybe they've got a problem with the foot, or the arm, or the hand, or whatever. And the anatomy needs to be fixed. So, we don't usually use red pencil for the underdrawing. You don't want to use the red pencil if you can avoid it. And so that becomes a thing. And then explain what blue lining is and red lining is and all those things. And then just normal pencil. Can I use a normal pencil? Yes, you can. See what else is. Oh, yeah. Hikigoma and then misogoma. So the misogoma is the visual frame in manga. And I like the concept of this a lot, that I including this even in the American side version of these. The hikigoma is a pulled frame. In manga, it's a translation that people read normally, which is you're reading along and all of your frames are aligned except for the bottom one, which drops out. The last frame drops down and over. And it's because it'll draw you through to a big event that happens on the opposing page. And it's almost like it's a code that's been written by the comic artists, and they read that. And so hikigoma and misogoma are kind of important. And then the misogoma is, what is the focus point on this page? You've got 12 panels. Are they all equal? You don't want them to be equal. Some are bigger and some are smaller. How do you choose the bigger frames? And the bigger frames is what the Japanese would call the misogoma. It's the focal point of this particular page. In manga, that is pretty straight up. In US comics, it's not as clear. And so, and this isn't designed to make, if you're watching this video, this isn't designed to make you think, oh gosh, man, there's all these rules. It isn't. It's just to make it easier to publish your comic and to make your comic accessible. And that's kind of a thing. We miss a lot of that from time to time. Blue line, red line, pencil. Right. What else did I want to do? And talk about border tape, but I don't think I have any anymore. There used to be this thing called border tape, and it was just a black tape that was exactly the right width for a border on a comic book. So you just run the tape and put it on the comic page and then trim it, and then it would make clean, nice, sharp borders. So you didn't have to use a ruler and then worry about bleed and things like that. Inking the pages. And then we should also talk about digital, says me as I, and let's not make that pigtail. Digital. Clip. Clip Studio. So I'm going to school, actually, oddly, for cultural anthropology. Honestly, Bellatrix Rising is a story all built around a functioning meritocracy. And a meritocracy, if you don't, for those who are not familiar, a meritocracy is a culture that operates fully on merit. We actually have some meritocracies that live right now in our world. Martial arts is a great meritocracy. You Everybody starts out at a white belt. It doesn't matter how much experience you have, you always start at a white belt and you move up to a black belt. If you have the black belts in the class, you know that the black belts go to, let's say, the locker room first, and then the brown belts, then the red belts, and you go on down and down, down, down. The Army is also a meritocracy. You join the Army and you're a private. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter where you started. You start as a private. And I'm kind of curious if you can make a culture work like a meritocracy. It doesn't matter where you are. You always start out at the bottom and you work your way up. And the more you do, the more value you have, and therefore the bigger the things you can own, and things like that. So, but it's cultural anthropology is all about studying cultures and how cultures work, and how we as a I don't want to say race, but we as a group of humans, how we can operate together. And I find that super fascinating. And so I'm really going into cultural anthropology, and I'm going to go all the way out to the PhD level, because I think I'm going to start also working on neurodivergence as a culture, because I think that neurodivergence, and that's people who have what they call the autistic spectrum disorder, or anything from ADD through Asperger's through actual full-blown autism. I think there's a culture in there that we have been building for a long time. Excuse me. And that culture that's there has had all kinds of interesting stuff on it. Representation. We've been represented in media because Spock is technically neurodivergent. So is Data from Next Gen. So these are all representations in media that have made impacts on people. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of the neurodivergents are also Trekkies or Star Wars fans, or into the sci-fi or things like that. So yeah, that's what fascinates me. It really does. So I'm going to go get a PhD in it. The dude from Big Bang Theory, Sheldon. Even though I'm not fond of that, because that's portraying neurodivergence as something to laugh at. It's kind of like Will in Will and Grace, whom, back in the 90s, we were coming out of homophobia. We had a massive homophobia problem here in the culture. And in the 90s, we were coming out of that. And in doing so, it got to the point where the only real way you could deal with gay people on TV was to make them the butt of the jokes. All the jokes were all around them. And they were stereotyped, and they were kind of, but at least they were represented. At least they were out there. And it's the same thing with Sheldon. He was out there, and so it is a thing. It's interesting. So this afternoon, I'm going to go to an interview where I'm going to talk about teaching a class on how to make comic books. So I'm like, what does my lesson plan look like? Where's the steps on my lesson plan, so that I can take that with me and say, here are the steps that I'm going to use to teach this class, so that they will go, oh, you are very organized. And I will laugh, because I'm not really very organized, but here we are trying to be organized, right? So, all right. We also need to talk about editing, because that's going to be a thing that we're really going to have to work for. My class. Any age is fine. I mean, I guess it depends. I probably shouldn't open it up for 4-year-olds, but only because I don't think 4-year-olds would be very good at trying to put together a comic book. But anybody who's, I would guess, 12, 13, 10, 12, 13, thereabouts, somewhere in that, up to 100. But if you're 101, that's it. I've drawn the line. Because anybody can draw a comic book. Just getting it completed is the thing. Editing, editing. Because, like, that's the biggest problem I see with a lot of people is they fail to edit the damn books. And do the editing before you're here. Oh my goodness, people. But yeah. And I think I'd get a lot of people who are 10 or 11 or 12 or 13 working on their first story out of the gate. We also want things like types of panels. Oh, come on, Wally Wood. How you doing, George? Oh yeah, that good? Is your day going well already? Did you go pester people, wander around the house, see what's happening, jump on things, knock stuff over? And it's kind of an important thing for you to do. You have to live your life of knocking stuff over, which is exactly what just happened. That's right, I got it. Yep, it's all good. I got this. So, I feel like this is you trying to get me out of my chair so that I will not be there so that you can jump into the chair and be a pest. George, once again, ladies and gentlemen, George. George the Great Cat. All right, types of panels. Wally Wood's 22 panels. Reaction, action, and this is probably where these all need to go, is there. So, all right. And I feel like everybody's going to want to be in this production section and head towards this post section. And I think a lot of people kind of head out to that zone quite a bit. And I feel like that's not as. Yes, actually, that is exactly what's going on. The wonderful thing is you get to see how it all works here. Everything that's mechanical is a 3D rendering, but I have made them look like a 2D model so that it fits better, because I feel like it doesn't fit well if I don't. And so what I'll do is I've done as much as I possibly can to make everything easy for me to deal with. So for example, let's just take the kitty wake, right? So this is the main ship. There we go. And we can pivot her around. We can do all the adjustments on it. The landing gear works. All of the pieces come up and go down. So all the things can be maneuvered. I can zoom in and zoom out. It gives me some control. But when rendered, it looks like it's hand drawn. because I render it flat. And then whenever I bring it into the comic, yep, I was working on the cockpits. Exactly. You're like, now I know why you were doing that. Because these are all my designs and they're my ships and stuff like that. It's everything I have in there that I use a computer for. Everything in the comic is mine in some way, even the font. I use a specific font when I'm writing, which, you know, and it's not that font, it's that font. Come on, select it all. There we go. Takes it a second. And this font is actually my handwriting. Like, really is my handwriting. I went through in a little font editor and wrote each letter. So when I write the dialogue in the comic, it's all my handwriting. It's just that I have made it so that I can go through and, you know, oh, you're stuck in Japanese. Let's not. I was writing in Japanese last night. Right? So now I can do edits on this and still edit the words. And if they're in Microsoft Word, I can get spell check and all of those things and everything like that. So but it's still my handwriting. This is still my handwriting. I wrote all these characters or all these letters. Of course, Bellatrix also takes place in the future, and so we use a specific font in Bellatrix, which is called Tamabeshi. And that's the language of what they're speaking in the future, because it's no longer English or any of the other languages. Yeah, I was out there the other night with that. So, yeah. But that's specific to this job, specifically. And I should spend time talking about digital tools as well, because it's not a bad thought process. I'm going to switch to that there. And digital tools, fonts. Yeah, homophones. Yep, homophones are great because they throw me off target all the time. I'm talking about homophones. And I was just talking to a buddy of mine just a few minutes ago about that, because she and I both have the same weird aphasia with that comes with being neurodivergent. Sometimes you try to pull a word up and it's gone, and it's just like it was never there. And you had the word once. And the worst part is, with me, I will select a homophone, something close, but it's not the right word. I'm looking for the word synchronicity, let's say, and I can't pull up synchronicity, but I can pull up cinnamon, and that's not the right word. Or a synonym, which is something similar but not the same. And I just can't seem to pull up synchronicity as the word I'd be looking for. And it's not that I don't know the word, I just suddenly blank it, and so it's gone. All right. And then lettering. And then post, prepping for print. And what we call pre-flight. You're welcome. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you again. Have a good meeting. I mean, I don't know if there's such a thing as a good meeting. Have a good, I don't know. I've had some meetings that were fun. So, but either way, have a good meeting. All right. Still breaking down how this works. This is probably the most traditional part of this. Blue line and red line, and right in here, inking, lettering, and coloring is going to be the most important section of this, where it's most reasonably together and with it. Kind of looking at this and going, well,
Are you planning on going to Choice tonight?
Yes, that's the plan.
Are you caught up on Fargo?
No.
Are you just gonna wing it?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
I'm enjoying Fargo wherever I am on it.
Okay. I have one episode I should probably watch today. What time are we gonna leave at?
I don't know.
Okay. Anna wants to talk about some things logistics related, and I actually have something specific to talk to her about. So.
Sorry, guys. We're back. All right. Print size, resolution, aspect ratios. I feel like this should also be kind of discussed to some degree here. All right. All right. So, kind of thought this all out a little bit, which is kind of what we were after, right? So, what I'm going to do now is make sure I've pretty much covered everything I want to cover on this. And we need to, speaking of cover, which really should come before this. All right. Now that we've done this, what I'm kind of doing here is trying to make this all one work. So there's 13 classes that I've got to do. Cool. Not a problem. So let's go ahead and just put the points in as we've had them so far. I'm going ahead and switch my font because in here, we have to make sure we have the font first. Okay, then we're going to do 10 point. There we go. All right. We're not ready yet. We're not ready for this. We will be, but we're not ready for it yet. And that is, what is the bulk of my setup going to be? And I think really the bulk of my setup is going to probably be in prep. So this should be 5 classes. So I'm going to put a new layer in because this is how we do things. We go in here and we say, this should be 5 classes. Right? There's 13 classes left. We can do 3 classes here. And then we should do 3 classes here. And then we should do 2 classes here. That makes more sense. Does that make sense? It seems like that's a pretty good breakdown. The majority of this is going to be in section 2, preparation, because that's where you're going to be doing all of the pieces, parts of this. But between classes, I'm going to, there's like gaps. So let's start talking about this one. So now we're going to go here, we're going to put this in that stuff, and we'll go like so and bring that down. And we'll say this. Go all the way across and to the right here and up to the top. And we'll say unit 1. And this is pre-prep. So in this one, we do world building and character design. Class 2. This is intro, world building and character design. Class 2 is hook, conflict. I feel like this shouldn't be done here. I feel like I should bring up something that's a little bit more consistent. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to open up a Word file for us. All right. And here we're going to take this and try to get it to go to the little, that's what we want it, U. And then we'll do U over here. And this should give us the ability to look at this from this point of view right here, and then put this out. I am a firm believer in using a piece of paper to write this out. But now that we've done the piece of paper, let's talk a little bit about this. Comic book creation. 13 classes. Section 1, pre-comic prep. Class 1. Class 1, intro. There we go. The thing I don't like is spacing. I want my spacing to not be double spaced. I want it to be single spaced, please. Character development. Story development, conflict, and hook. Okay. Class 3 is scripting, formatting, the Stan Lee method, because that has to be brought in somewhere along the line. There you go. All right, those are your first 3 classes. Section 2. Okay. Class 4, outlining. We've got 5 classes for this, so outlining, the 3-act structure, Joseph. I feel like scripting probably should go here. You're determined to make this not work, aren't you? How do I make this not do that? I need to go back a level. There. That's how you do it. Look at that. Look at me doing this the right way. Class 6. Class 8. There we go. We are now through the first half of this. All right. Yes, I'll give you a scritch. I shall scritch you, because you're a cat who needs scritches. You're a scritchy cat, and have always been, and have always been. You're a bean. Did you know you were a bean? You have toe beans. Toe beans. All right. Kind of going along here, looking at that. Then we will go to section 3. 3. Production. You need to be all the way back. Blue line, red line pencils. Sizes and aspect ratios. US comics versus manga. I'm going to write these out real quick while I'm thinking of them. Sketching and right? Yeah, I'm doing the this afternoon. I have to make a presentation for teaching a class at the local event center, and so I'm going to try to teach them on Fridays, and it will be a thing, and that will give me something to do on Fridays that may bring in more income because they pay for that. So I am going to do how to do comics and make your comics work. So it's 13 weeks and there's lots of homework involved for them, not me. So right. It's all good. So class 9 is production, blue line, red line pencils, sizes and aspect ratios, US comics versus manga, sketching, and I'm going to go ahead and just put this on into bullets. Oh, no. That's the best part about this. I don't grade the homework. What I do is I say, here is how you set up this page. Go home and do these pages. Come back next week with pages. So then when you come back the next class, I look over your pages and we talk about building the next aspect into it. So if you, I'm not grading it, you do you, however you want to do these things. Like, up here in the beginning, you've got world building and character development. I'm not going to tell you your world building is stupid. I'm not going to tell you your character development's stupid. This is up to you. You do whatever you need to do. And then when you come back the next week, we talk about story development, conflict, and hook. Okay, now you've got all this world and this characters. What's your conflict? And what's your hook? What is the thing that draws the person into the story? Then in class 3, you come up with that, you go home, you do all that. And yeah, I could also show various examples by different types of things. Yeah. Right. we need to talk about. I feel like class 9 really should be class 10, come to think of it. 2 months of which will be I'm gonna dedicate 3 whole classes to star maps. There you go, just for you. First part of this will be class 9. Bring it up a level to you. There we go. Sketching and roughing a page. And then we'll do finishing the page. Then is inking, border, tape, and lettering fonts. Yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could go through and just use this show to be an example of what's going on. Yeah, you're not wrong. Alrighty. Then section 4, post-production. All right, class 12, pre-flight. Nope. Yes, pre-flight. Wait, do I really want that to be clean up and prep? Tactical photocopier use. Trust me when I say that's like more critical than you can ever imagine, strangely. Real world units. Year.
Do you have any place you have to be in the next couple of hours?
I don't think so. Hang on, let me check.
Your interview?
1:30?
Okay, so you do have that.
Yes.
Okay.
That's vital.
Yep. Did you ever walk or something?
Yeah, I'm supposed to walk with Alex at 11.
Okay. I'm just mentally trying to figure out what I'm doing. My office hour starts right now, so I'm gonna go do that for the next hour.
Oh, okay. Be in your office.
Hours, yes.
So, be officey.
For hours.
For hours.
You have enough of these really cool ships that you should have like some way of having them like set up above like a ceiling height, like a battle.
Yep, I do. Oh, we should do something more tactical with them. Office hours, says Brent, adding to the commentary.
Ah, yes.
Your hours where you are in your office, technically. So, James actually does something very similar to what you do, Brent. He's working in the IT group, and he is in the office to answer questions and fix problems, which usually consists of turning it off and turning it on again.
Or giving people access.
Yeah, or giving people access. Just saying. Real world units. DPI and all right. And costs. All right. All of this is post production. There we go. Home assistant. Why do I want home assistant? I have a home assistant. It's Alexa. All right. That looks pretty good to me. It's all 13 classes. I think that's a pretty decent outline. I feel like that's pretty good setup for a 13 class layout on how to do comic books and stuff. And all I need to do is print it, which will require me taking it to some other location because my printer doesn't get used enough for it to not dry out all of its damn ink. So that's always a fun thing. So anyway, that also means that I gotta bounce. I'm on the bounce. On the bounce. And I will check my group threads. See if we are all still. I'm wrapping up. We are still on for 11:30. All right, just looking over everything here. Will not be streaming tonight. Tonight is Friday night, and so I'll be going over to watch Fargo with my buddies. I'll be streaming Sunday night though. And then Monday morning, I'll be streaming, and then Monday night, and then I won't be streaming again during the day for the remainder of, well, for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I should be back on Friday for day. And I'll have to report in on these things. So, because I start school next week, but Monday is, of course, a holiday, so I don't have to worry about Monday. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are class time. I'll be in class. I'll be all engaged. Everything will be happening. And then Friday is I should be broadcasting during the day every Friday, in theory, because that should be an off day for me. And then Saturday and Sunday I work, so that should be how it'll work. And then I should broadcast at night, but I would expect that my night broadcasts will be very truncated for the first couple of weeks. Cool. You can join me Monday. But I suspect that my evening broadcast will be truncated for the first couple of weeks, as I'll be pretty wiped from school. I'm anticipating that. If I'm not, yay! I mean, that's awesome. That's what we're hoping for. But just in case, so going ahead and putting that expectation down. So. Yeah, I mean, for right now, and it's probably going to be true for the remainder of the time. Really, honestly, I think I'll only be able to broadcast once a day at best. And most of the time, I think what'll happen is I'll start broadcasting at 9 o'clock to check in, make sure that I've done all my homework, make sure I've settled everything in. If I can get some work done on the comic, I'll do some work on the comic during the week. But I would expect that my comics are now going to be pretty much relegated to Thursday night, Friday morning streams, which means slow going, but we'll get there. Should be still plugging along, just will be slow. So that would be fine on that instance. So, yeah, that's my thought process. Man. And for some reason, I'm yawning a lot. And then I need to put this on a flash drive so that I can have this with me when I go for my walk so I can print it. You look like a flash drive. You will do. I am now back here. Oh, no, I could do is no. There's no using that. Just use this. There we go. Flash drive inserted. Just open the folder. Thank you. This flash drive has been used for this before. I can tell because there are things in here. And take those two and copy them and move them here. And then that way I can just print both of those. Oh, there you go. Just have it just automatically spit it out. That'd be kind of fun. It would be fun. I think that'd be great. Closing all the things. Bames Jown was on here earlier and was asking me about how I built the ships and stuff like that, and explaining why I was using 3D and all of these things in my comics. And he's now apparently reading my comics, and he's become a patron, which I think is really lovely of him. And so that's really cool. I say him because it's Bames, but which is, spoonerized James, and I get it. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. So there you go. All right. Well, I think, my dear friend, I think we are about out of here for the day. I'm going to go on ahead and go on my daily walk. It is now actually at freezing out there. That's nice of it. So it has risen. The temperature has come up to 32 degrees plus on that part. And so I'm going to go for my walk, and I will talk to you guys later, and wish me luck on this interview this afternoon because I will need it. And so I won't need it. I should be fine. This should be a shoe-in. Everything will be okay. I'm going down to the local event center and showing them about this idea that I have about making comics. And, we got this under control. It should be fine. that outline looks beautiful. It's solid. I'm just trying to find out how much they should charge for each one of these classes because this is useful stuff. Um, and so, is it like $100 or $200 for the class? How many people will sign up? We don't know. So I got this under control. I just need to remember to take things with me. Like this guy right here needs to go with me so that I can show them I actually make my own comics. They really do exist. So that's a ting. You need to make sure that happens. So, but we're good. I will tell you what the results of these are at some point in the future. But for right now, I'm going to go for my walk with uh, Alex. And so that's a normal thing. And I will go do that. And I will see you guys Sunday night. I'm glad to have you here, Brent. I'm glad you're with me and I think it'd be great for you to join me Monday. That'd be awesome. Um, and nothing else, because I think Monday I'll probably be scrambling to make sure I have lots of documentation done. So I will. Um, and so like getting my documentation is not going to be exciting for people to watch. So it'd be good to have your 3D printer on here so that we can watch the printer. Anyway, so that's where we are, and that's what's going to happen. I'm going to head out of here. But before we go, as always, I want to remind everybody to have a wonderful weekend and have a great time and enjoy life as you've got it and keep your eyes on the stars. Goodbye.